Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and I've been going through some of the questions that's been left on my videos about the Creator 5. And one question that's come up more than a few times is whether or not it's possible to print more than 4 colors with the Creator 5. Maybe you want to do 5 colors or 6 colors or 7 colors, but is there a way for you to be able to do that? And that is what I sought out to find out in this video. Let me show you what I did to find that out. So if we go over here to Flash Studio, this is currently the only slicer that works with the Creator 5. It is the replacement to Orca Flashforge. So all I did was import this cylinder here, and I went into the paint function and I painted this cylinder 4 colors. These are the 4 colors that were loaded up in my printer, starting off with black, moving on to pink, yellow, orange, and then we have black up here as well. But what I decided to do is swap out this last part of black for another color, because what's going to happen is after the printer gets finished printing this black section here, it's going to move on to these other 3 sections. And at that time, I'm going to take the black filament out of the printer, load another filament in, and then by the time it gets to the second section of black, it's just going to go right back to the tool head where the original black was loaded up, and it's just going to pull the new filament from there instead. So that's what I did. I sent this over to the printer. This was a pretty quick print with only 4 filament changes and 24 minutes to print. So let's see how that process worked and what I learned along the way. So this is what I did. While the printer was engaged with the second tool head, I just cut the filament from the very first tool head, which was the black filament, and I'm just rolling it up and I'm going to put it to the side. And in its place, I've got a whole new roll of filament to use. And I'm going to use this red filament just because it's nice and it's easier to contrast. So once I put this filament through the PTFE tube, it's not going to be loaded into the tool head. It's going to be very close, but it's not going to be to the point where the printer can actually start printing with it. In order to do that, I'm going to have to go over to the screen and see what options that are available to me at the screen level. So this is the print screen, and I'm going to go over to the filament icon. And you see, when I try to press the very first tool head option to load or unload the filament, you see like those options are not highlighted. I can't do anything except change the color of the filament. And that's because the print is currently active. So as long as the print is actually going on at the time and the print head's moving and it's laying down filament, you're not going to be able to load anything. The key to doing this is you have to pause the print first, just like I'm doing here. So when I pause it, the bed is going to lower, and then the tool head is going to park itself right at the front of the plate where the filament nozzle wiper is located. Then from there, I can go into the filament option, and now I can select the new filament and I can choose to load that filament. Well, now the printer is going to park the tool head that it was using, and it's going to start loading up the filament from tool head number 1 that I just selected. And it's going to purge just like you see it now. And yes, this is definitely one of the flaws of the Creative 5, the fact that it purges filament right to the front of the bed. And in this particular example, the filament was being extruded onto the nozzle wiper. So I had to keep manually just pulling it away so that it wouldn't get clumped up there. And then afterwards, I was able to resume the print and wait all the way until it got to the very last section of color. And just as we hoped, it started printing the red filament. So yeah, you can do 5 colors on the Creator 5 if you want to. And here is a look at the multicolored cylinder that I printed. You can see that there are 5 colors total, and it worked pretty darn well. The only issue that I had, and this was actually very interesting, is that if I turn this around to about this side, you're able to see a little bit of separation right there in the pink filament. And that's because when I went to resume it, the printer told me that it detected a clog and it stopped the printing. And I was like, you mean you detected a clog? You were printing just fine a second ago. So I just hit continue and it worked itself out and it managed to just print the rest of the model. But it did leave behind this little imperfection right here where you can see a little tiny bit of a gap where that clog occurred, and it was also present on the prime tower as well. So even though it did work itself out and I ran some more filament through that second extruder and it came out just fine, but it's bad news for the quality of this model. But it is good news to know that the printer does detect clogs, and well, it definitely does look like that there was a clog there at some point. So I guess we learned a couple of things today. So if you do want to print with more than 4 colors on the Creator 5, you totally can. It's just the only thing is the more complicated the model is and the more filament changes that you have to do, then the harder it becomes to be able to know exactly when you need to pause and exactly when you need to switch that filament over. This is something that can work just fine for simple objects like this, or if you're doing something like Flashforge, for example, where the filament color changes can be reasonably spaced apart so you don't have to constantly rush to change the filament and you don't have to worry about doing it dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But for simple things like this, it's totally manageable and you can pull it off. And then you can also put pauses in the slicer to pause the print for you so that you don't have to stand over it and pause it manually. That's just another way to go about doing this, but it's totally possible, and now you know how to do it. So that's it. I'm going to thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to continue to go through those comments for suggestions for future videos that you want to see about the Creator 5, and then I'll do my best to get those out to you as soon as I can. All right, so until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.